What's up, everybody? It's welcome back to Motor Stardom Show. It's October 28th, 2025, and we are getting ready for the final weekend of NASCAR season. It's crazy that we're already here. It seems like we just started the year now already to the final race of the season. We got Phoenix coming up. We just got done with Martinsville. The storylines are all over the place. We got 3 series in NASCAR where we got 4 drivers, and we're set to crown a champion in a winner-take-all race. 3 of them this weekend at Phoenix with the Truck Series, with Corey Heim being the favorite, but he's got 3 drivers he's got to defeat on Friday night. Connor Zilic is the favorite in the Xfinity Series. He's got 3 drivers he's got to defeat on Saturday night. And over in the Cup Series, it's anybody's game. We got 2 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. We got 2 Hendrick Motorsports drivers. It is certainly bound to be a heavyweight fight out west in the desert. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. It seems to be kind of a trend that we end up getting 2 heavyweight teams battling each other in that final race. And I think that'll add to the super, super exciting storylines we see on Sunday. But what we're going to do right now is kind of keep it with the Xfinity Series on this show. We talk about the Xfinity Series all the time. My driver co-hosts are preparing for a busy final weekend here in Phoenix. So riding solo tonight, but not totally alone, because we're going to bring in Hendrick Motorsports prospect, the man, the myth, the man that finished 13th in a crazy weekend at Martinsville, came off of an incredible finish at Las Vegas, and now is heading into Phoenix, looking to finish off the season strong. Corey Day, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain. We got the last week of the season coming up, I'm sure, with you. What I've told a lot of people is coming up through the industry. When I was a kid, and I'd hear people wanted the season to end. We're okay with the season ending. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I wish NASCAR and racing could go all year long. But then when you start to get into it, you don't mind those weeks off. You are a guy that's been all over the place this year, whether you're dirt racing or whether you're Trans Am racing or truck racing or ARC racing, Xfinity racing. You've done a lot of stuff this year. Are you ready to get to kind of an off season? Or are you kind of a guy that's like, nah, keep it going? What are we talking about?
I'm excited for off season, but at the same time, my off season will be. Let's see. I go back to California on the 12th of November, and then I race with the USAC Midget Series until I think the 30th. So there's like 7 races in there, and then I'm gonna go on vacation for a couple weeks, and then going to Australia to run a sprint car. So my off season consists of racing still. For me, I guess it's off season racing. So, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to go on vacation, get back to California, and see my family and friends and all that stuff. But yeah, some time off isn't bad all the time.
Yeah, not at all. Well, I'm glad at least hear you have a vacation coming up. That's great. But I'm sure you love racing, and kind of talk to me about what this year has meant for you as a whole. We'll get kind of in detail about some other things as we go on here, but just this year as a whole, to do as much as you have done, to come as far as you have come, especially ending the year with these great finishes. What has that meant to you as you've tried to kind of season yourself as a stock car racer?
Yeah, it's been a tough year for me. Just, I'm not going to say restart in my career, but taking on a new challenge, right? It's never, I don't think anyone's ever made the transition from dirt to asphalt seamlessly, right? So, yeah, it's been tough for sure. It's tough to come from winning a bunch of sprint car races last year and being able to win at the top level if, on any given night, and, you know, struggling to run top 10 in a pavement car. So that's been a big challenge, but, I love the challenge. I love the fact that, I get to go to the racetrack with the mindset of like, what can I learn new this weekend? Whereas the sprint car stuff last year, running it full time, it got to the point where, I was upset if I didn't win after every night. So it's been almost a little refreshing to like be like, I was so happy when I ran 4th at Vegas. Like, if I ran 4th in a sprint car race, I'd have been like, oh, cool, but we didn't win, right? So, and of course, I want to win in a stock car just as bad as I do in a sprint car, but it's just a lot longer of a process to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about that Xfinity Series car because throughout the year, the various guests that we've talked to, we talked to a lot in the Xfinity Series, even the Cup Series drivers. Were reminiscing about the Xfinity Series with them. A lot of people love that race car. Talk to me about how different, obviously in a short amount of time for you, but how different has racing that car been than anything you've been able to run as far as trucks or ARCA or even, dating your Trans Am car when you've done the road courses in the Xfinity car.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I'd say honestly, as silly as it sounds, the truck and the ARCA car are pretty similar. Same motor. They both have a lot of downforce. So they drive actually pretty close. The truck just has, a longer wheelbase. Um, and then the Xfinity car is a lot different than both of them. Yeah, a lot more power, a lot less downforce. So for me, a dirt guy, it's fun to get in an Xfinity car and go slide around and be able to drive the car really hard. So I've had a lot of fun with it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's a super fun race car. So I'm blessed and privileged that I get the shot to drive such a good one for Hendrick Motorsports. But yeah, it's just it's been a lot of fun to learn. Like I said, learning like a new challenge has been as difficult as it's been at times, and as much as I've scratched my head this year on, what can I do better or what do I need to learn, it's been really fun to learn it all.
Yeah, and before we get back to that fourth place finish at Vegas, you talk about you being in that great car, that Hendrick Motorsports 17, right? When you look at the roster for the year, right? It's Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, William Byron, Kyle Larson, a few other various names like Rajah Caruth, and Corey Day. What does it mean to be a part of that group where yes, you were in a great car as well, but you have all these great guys, these teammates as resources for you if you need anything in the world as far as insight on the racetrack.
Yeah, that part of it's been super cool. Yeah, it's funny you say that. When they posted, the team posted a picture or kind of like a graphic at the start of the year with all four Cup guys and then me when they released the schedule for the 17 car. Um, and I don't know, it was just one of those things where I just stared at it for a little bit. I was like, dang, like that's pretty crazy. I'm, a part of that group, right? So yeah, it's been super cool. I couldn't be in a better place with everyone at Hendrick Motorsports, the drivers, and everyone else involved in the team to be able to help me succeed. So super super fortunate for that, super thankful for that.
Yeah, it's certainly awesome to see yourself on a graphic like that. I'm sure that means the world. And then so dating to the second to last race you had run, Las Vegas, fourth place. I enjoyed that race a lot. A lot of people did. The finish of that race, I'm sure you've seen the clips of Connor Zillich chasing down Eric Almirola. Cars are damn near sideways, and you're back there in fourth place. Tell me about how it was as far as like handling towards the end of the race, because I'm curious what it was like for you from the driver's seat. If it was, if it felt as bad as it looked for the leaders at the end of that race, or you kind of felt good of where you were at, or like every lap you were like, holy cow, this thing is like sideways. I'm so lucky I made it to fourth place finish.
No, honestly, I think our car was probably one of the best there at the end. The front two guys were really free there on that last run for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but I felt really good. Like I thought I had one of the best cars there on that last run. I just restarted 12th. Um, so it was like I basically ran out of time, right? Like I think if I restart fifth or sixth, I can go up there and battle those guys for the lead. With how free they were and how good I felt. But yeah, just restarting 12th, I was lucky to have a really good turn one, and I split, a couple guys, and I think I ended up seventh after the first lap. But, you still got, I think I had to pass Jesse Love and Nick Sanchez, which are, two guys that, for one, have a lot more laps than I do this year, and they're in great cars and they do a great job. So, it wasn't, those weren't two easy passes, I'll say. So, yeah, just I wish I could have restarted further up there for sure. Not gonna say I would have won, right? You can never just say, oh
Yeah.
yeah, if this happened, I would have won. But I think I definitely could have had a shot to battle with those guys for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And we talked about the teammates that you're listed with on that 17 car. I've asked a few people this the last few weeks, but have besides the teammates that you have at the organization, is there any like veteran driver in NASCAR, whether they're retired or still racing, that people may not know or people may not think that you've gotten advice from that like you haven't forgotten? Something, whether it's just whether it was like one little thing or someone that's in your ear a lot that's helped you out besides the people you kind of have every day. Has there been somebody that's given you some advice and you're like, damn, that was good?
Um, no, to be honest, not. I mean, Josh Wise and Scott Speed are
We'll hear Josh
they
White.
yeah, they run the Chevy, development program for all us drivers, and they've been a huge help, just helping me like putting stuff in my terms basically.
Yeah.
Josh was a dirt guy growing up. Um and then you got Scott, who is an F1 guy, so his like lingo and the way he thinks about things is way different than like the way a dirt oval guy would. But it's still really good to like hear that, and it makes you think about things in a different way, which is good. So I'd say those two, they're both veteran drivers, so they've both been a huge help to me this year. And other than that, no, I really don't think there's, Jeff Gordon, of course, but he's a part of Hendrick Motorsports, of course. So yeah, no, there really hasn't been, anyone else. I have found this year that you can get too much information. I have found myself going to a track or two this year, studied all week, talked to 10 different people about what I need to do. And, I get in the race car and I'm thinking about 30,000 different things instead of, five things, or however many you want to focus on. So yeah, I have found that you can get too much information, so I've tried my best to just filter all the important things and all the things that I can control, and try to put a lot of focus on that going into each race weekend. And I think like Nashville was my first top five in the truck, and I think that was one of the first weekends where I just went in there with a clear mind, and um, yeah, just had a lot less going on and up in my head, and I think that helped.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jeff Gordon real quick about him. Like, when you came over to the organization, were you surprised, kind of, at least from my perspective, how invested he is with the team? Because I feel like a lot of people, you see those roles get announced and this and that, and you're like, okay, maybe they'll be at the shop here and there, virtually, blah blah blah. But that guy's like in every race. I mean, he's always there. He's super invested with the team, and like you said, I'm sure he's given you a lot of pointers, a lot of advice as well, as far as even just with the Xfinity program. Was that something that you were like, kind of surprised, like, wow, this guy's like pretty heavily invested in this organization?
I really wasn't surprised, because I think any good race car driver, like him, I'm not gonna, I don't know. It's just you love the sport so much, and you put so
Yeah.
much into the sport for such a long time, that for him, like, I think this is also a way of like him still getting his jollies out of it, right? So I think the more he's involved with it, when the team wins, it means more to him, right? So I think that's part of it. And also he just has endless amounts of good info to offer everyone in the whole entire business and team. So yeah, I think it's awesome how involved he is. I think he only helps everyone. Um, so yeah, I think I'm not necessarily surprised by that. I think he's always kind of been that type of guy to always be there and be kind of upfront with what he's doing, and he's always been involved, it seems. So but from the outside looking in, I could totally see how it would be, oh, he's just gonna, it's just for the look, right? But yeah, I think Jeff loves to be involved.
Oh yeah, 100%. It surely looks like he is. And a track that he was wonderful at, and I want to talk about from last week, was Martinsville. And so you're a guy that's early in your career. You haven't ruffled a ton of feathers, at least I don't think, right? And so now we get to Martinsville, and it seems like if you exist there, you're probably going to ruffle somebody's feathers. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's going to be mad at each other. So we know that we're at least a driver or two, right? That's going to come out. Oh man, 17 car raced me bad, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Is that something that, no matter the track, but especially at Martinsville, are you kind of looking back and watching the tape and be like, okay, maybe I could have done this differently, done this, or are you like, look, it's Martinsville, that happens. People are going to be upset at me and upset at other people, and that's that.
Um, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, right? Like that's kind of how everyone races there. Is just no one gives each other an inch, and it's kind of like most guys are if I rough you up and bump you out of the way, oh well. For whatever reason, it's like okayed there, which I feel like at any other track it's not. So um, I'm not really sure why that is. But I've always been taught and been told, and my mentality is I race people the way they race me, right? If someone's gonna come rough me up, then they're gonna get it right back. I'm not just gonna, be like, oh, I'm gonna get out of your way. So that's my mentality on it, and I'm sure that that's all these other guys' mentality on it too. So um, yeah, I don't really know why it is so like we get to Martinsville and everyone just decides to like cut their head off. And they're just like, okay, bump and runs are fine now. And if I, ship you up to the third lane, that's okay. I don't know why that is. I don't know what it's, who's told people that that's okay. Um, I think it makes for like a great show for the fans, right? Um, but from like a driver perspective, it's not fun to be out there and just be getting bumped around all the time, or having to bump people around after they do it to you. So um yeah, I don't know, it's a cool track for me because it's so much different than everything I've ever done. There's a lot of rhythm that goes into it. There's a lot of technique on the brake and the way you run the bottom. There's 15 different ways to run the bottom and make speed around there. So yeah, I think that part of it's super cool. Um, but yeah, I don't really know why everyone decides to race the way they do when they get there.
Do you think everyone kind of just gets amped up and heated up in the moment? Like I know there, like at Martinsville, there's a lot of like, okay, I just got moved. Now I'm upset. I lost a spot. I'm going to go back and move him. Like we know, like I know damn well Sam Mayer was not happy in that car, obviously, with the move he did after the checkered flag, and unfortunately will not be racing this weekend. And I'm sure it's literally out of just he was upset, right? And he's going to look back at it and be like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that, right? So do you think that kind of plays into it, like, where it's just tempers, like you're racing, you're hot, you get a hot head, and you want to go do something back to somebody, and you look back at it and it's like, maybe I probably shouldn't have shipped them off in the corner like I did. But like you said, is it also kind of just the culture of the racing that we've kind of created here?
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't been a part of it for as long as a lot of these other guys have. But the four Martinsville races I've been a part of now, two truck and two Xfinity, I want to sit here and tell you like, oh, it's the playoffs and it's amped up because of that reason, but it was just as bad in the spring when there was like nothing on the line.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I really don't know. I think yeah, one person does it and then the next person does it back to them, and then the people around them see that, and you go in defense mode immediately because you're like, oh, like I don't want to get crashed here.
Yeah.
Um, but defense mode means that you got to do that to them. You can't, unfortunately, you can't run away and hide at Martinsville. Like you're always in the zone of you could get crashed, right? Unless you're checked out leading, and then that's for 10 laps and you get to lap traffic and it happens all over again. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you, exactly like what starts it. Um, but yeah, I think this weekend especially there was, like you said, the 41 was, you know, racing for a lot. The 8 was racing for a lot. This weekend there's a couple guys that are, racing for a lot more than just a race win. So that amps it up even more. Um, and then you get guys like me who are just trying to stay out of the way of those guys. Like you don't want to affect their day. Um, and then you end up getting caught up in someone's mess. So, um, yeah, it's funny. I was talking to the guys before the race. I was like, I'm going to do my best to stay out of the mess, but, it's more than likely going to find me.
Yeah.
And it did. So, oh well. I just think, yeah, that's just the nature of of short track racing, I guess. And I think the fans love that, and there's some drivers that feed into that, and that's kind of just what it's turned into.
Yeah, 100%. And one more quick question before I let you go here. I got to tour the shop a few years back, and I got to hear some little interesting nuggets from some people around the shop. Is it true? Like, before I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, I've been a manager at a Chick-fil-A down here. Is it true after a W, you guys cater Chick-fil-A for the entire building at Hendrick? Is that still a thing?
I haven't been a part of that. No,
Oh man,
not Chick-fil-A.
maybe they stopped.
There is food after a win, but it's been other things than Chick-fil-A. But yeah, I think everyone gets a meal. Yeah,
Okay. Well, as long as they get it, man, that's good. I
yeah,
heard was that they treat the team, and sometimes usually it's Chick-fil-A. Maybe you guys alternate years or stuff like that. So hopefully you'll get your Chick-fil-A fix soon in if you like it. I mean, are you Chick-fil-A?
yeah. When I get my first win, I'm gonna ask for some Chick-fil-A.
All right, good. All right, I'm glad to hear it, man. Well, that
Yep.
first win's definitely coming. Hopefully it's this weekend at Phoenix, but if not, it's definitely gonna be in 2026 for sure. So I appreciate you stopping by the show. Appreciate talking to you. Best of luck wrapping up the year at Phoenix. Not really your year because you're just gonna be racing after this weekend, anyways. But best of luck with all of that, and we'll certainly talk to you again when the NASCAR season comes around the corner.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Thank you, man. That was Corey Day, who'll be racing the number 17 this weekend, per usual, at Phoenix Motor Speedway, Phoenix Raceway. Like I said, came off a 13th place run in Martinsville, 4th place run at Las Vegas. So he's on a hot streak. He's on a pretty great hot streak there, and a great prospect as well. So, like I mentioned, there's some news going around. We got some big stuff coming out today. We got some lawsuit stuff. Honestly, we could probably all agree we're tired of that. They need to wrap that up. Settlement could be reached soon. We'll see. Heard that a gazillion times. But as far as in the Xfinity Series, Sam Mayer has been suspended. He will not race at Phoenix due to his crash on Jeb Burton after the checkered flag, kind of pictured here above as he destroyed that 27 car, was pissed off, and then gave a pipe bomb interview after it as well. Right, kind of admitted probably shouldn't have done that after the checkered flag, but certainly wasn't going to draw back on the fact that he did not like Jeb Burton. As he said, nothing he's ever done is worth a damn. So Jeb Burton said kind of the same thing back to Sam Mayer. Jeb Burton was an Abu Daniel die after this Martinsville race earlier this year. So it seems like he's just in some endless feuds here with other young drivers in the series. But nonetheless, Sam Mayer is suspended. And just like checkered flag, Dan says it is going to be a golden opportunity for Ryan Sieg because how about it, right? Similar equipment, right? That 39 cars, not tuned up as well as the 41 and 00, but obviously a very strong Ford dark horse in the Xfinity Series. We'll be driving the 41. So Ryan Sieg will be in that 41 for Haas Factory team. Certainly, I thought maybe they'd go with Cole Custer or somebody in the organization, but they end up just pulling from the next best Ford driver in the Xfinity Series, and that's Ryan Sieg. So awesome opportunity for him to get in that 41 car, and maybe a Ford performance car, right? Who's going to be the lead Ford team for the Xfinity Series next year? Is it going to be RSS Racing? Is it going to be AM Racing? Is it going to be Alpha Prime Racing? Hold your prime bites on that one. We don't know who's going to be that, A team, right, for next year in the Xfinity Series. Maybe a big opportunity for Ryan Sieg to prove himself in that 41 at Phoenix, a track where he's had decent success at, not been amazing, not been terrible, though. So we'll see how he does this weekend. News also that's been rumored for a while just came out of the Gauntlet. Scott League Racing will not be in the Xfinity Series next year. This was kind of assumed after they are now putting all of their assets seemingly into the Truck Series with Ram. We know that Colleague and RCR are kind of ending their partnership in the Cup Series, right? So they're not going to get as much Chevrolet support. This is just a move that you kind of could have assumed when you look at all of this stuff happening. So, what does this mean for the Xfinity Series drivers, right? Right now it's Daniel Dye and Christian Eckes. in those cars. We know Josh Williams started off the year for them. Now it's been various drivers, which Brendan Queen kind of finishing out the year. Brendan Queen, though, is, we know, going to the Truck Series team. So I would assume that means the same for Daniel Dye. Will it mean the same for Christian Eckes as well? We know they have 5 seats that they will have to fill, 4 that they will have to fill now that one was already filled out by Brendan Queen. But, Xfinity Series loses an organization, not by the business model, but kind of by decision here. Kaulig Racing has tanked in the Xfinity Series completely. I mean, no drivers in the playoffs. They haven't put they haven't put all their drivers in the playoffs in a little bit. So struggling organization, going to make some room for some other organizations to come in here in the Xfinity Series and maybe have some power. But as said, they will be taking over the Truck Series next year. That will likely be wide open because Corey Heim will not be in the Truck Series next year, at least on a full-time basis. So we kind of look over the Truck Series, and that's one storyline that we're kind of watching is not necessarily storylines, right? But the storyline is Corey Heim has been the favorite. He has broken records this year. He is the guy. He is leading the standings by over 100 points, right? What can possibly go wrong for him to lose this race, right? If Tyler Ankrum, Caden Honeycutt, or Ty Majeski wins the championship this year, it's an absolute travesty. This format is dog water. It would absolutely be the worst thing to happen to this format. It's bound to happen, right? When you can think of these scenarios that aren't like going to happen every year, right? But is certainly possible. It's ridiculous. And the way I put it is, this will be the final time I'll rant about it on this show. Maybe next week if somebody else wins the championship, but Corey Heim. But, these teams, especially in these lower series, man, they invest way too much money, way too much time to go out there and, you go have your championship ruined by, somebody that brings out a yellow or, drops fluid on the racetrack with 10 laps to go. Because hypothetically, Corey Heim could be rolling, cruising. He could be the fastest truck on the racetrack, which I'm sure he's going to be at Phoenix, and he runs over a freaking fork on the racetrack, cuts his tire, loses the championship. So, that is a realistic possibility. It sucks that that's possible. No, not to take away from any of these gentlemen in this picture, because I believe if this was, hey, Corey Heim's champion, 2, 3, 4 in the point standings, that's great. We got a lot of great things to say here. Caden Honeycutt, 3 different teams this year, going from Nice, having to run the race with Youngs, and now Stewart, Hallmar Friesen. That's awesome. Tremendous job for him this year. As he moves on to Tricon next year, I'm sure that's going to be fantastic. Tyler Ankrum, guy that's been a Truck Series guy for a long time now, finally just hits his stride, gets that victory this year, has had a lot of speed. Really excited for him. Well-deserved. He's worked hard for this opportunity. Now has the chance to fight for a championship, be top 4 in points. And then Ty Majeski had a gritty year, right? And didn't necessarily collect as much checkered flags as they would have liked to because they all got taken by Corey Heim. But still a great year for him. And then not pictured is Lane Riggs, who unfortunately won't even get a top 4 finishing spot in the standings this year after being really the only one to be able to contend with Corey Heim. Now we look over at the Xfinity Series, and it's kind of a different slate here because, yes, Connor Zilic has been the guy, right? If he gets defeated, it's still going to suck. Not going to hurt as much as Corey Heim for sure. But the way I look at it is, look, my championship pick for the Truck Series is still Corey Heim. My championship pick for the Xfinity Series is Justin Allgaier. I think this plays right into his hands. Connor Zilic, he's the rookie. It's his first time in this situation. When we went to Phoenix earlier this year, going to be a lot different than he is now as a driver, right? As a full year under his belt. But it's not his best track, and he is not better at Phoenix than Justin Allgaier, right? So what type of car does Junior Motorsports give each of these drivers? We know the 88 car has been really good this year wherever he's went. I still think it plays in the hands of Justin Allgaier. I'm hoping we're in for a classic 1-2 battle between Allgaier and Zilic here. I think the veteran and the rookie, that would be an awesome way to cap out the season. I think we're in for a great race. 2 guys on the right and left here. Not that I think they have no chance, but I don't think they got a shot. So, Jesse Love it kind of squeezed his way in here, right? They've been consistent this year, but not dominant enough at any racetrack. And then Carson Kvapil. I mean, way to freaking talk about really sneaking your way in here. No wins, able to just be consistent and get enough points to make it to the final round. Awesome. Congrats to him. We got 3 Junior Motorsports cars in the final 4. 4 Chevrolets, 0 Toyotas. Joe Gibbs Racing misses out. 0 Fords. Haas Factory Team misses out. So certainly some big storylines there as Toyota and Ford will go back to the drawing board next year. But my Xfinity Series championship pick is Justin Allgaier. I think he goes back to back with Jim Pullman. Jim Pullman rides into the sunset, goes to crew chief Kyle Busch next year. Whether that will be good for that duo or not, at Richard Childress Racing, we will see. But my championship pick is Justin Allgaier. Now, let's go over to the Cup Series. Got a few things here right at the beginning of the year, or not the beginning of the year, but the beginning of the playoffs. My playoff bracket had, I believe, this exact Final Four minus Chase Briscoe, or no. I think it was Byron, Hamlin, Bell, Blaney was my Final Four. So I was missing 2. Did not think Larson would get in. He made it in. Did not think Chase Briscoe would get it in, but he started railing at the beginning of this playoffs and the end. And so my pick was William Byron to win the championship. I think he's just been the most consistent this year, and I think Hendrick Motorsports would be able to come up clutch at Phoenix. But, I think any of these 4 can win. But I'm going to roll the dice here. I think Chase Briscoe in this 19 team, first career Cup win, was notched at this racetrack. We came to this racetrack when he was last in a Final Four in the Xfinity Series, did not perform well because it wasn't a great racetrack for him at that time. Then he won that Cup race, and now he's in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. And I think it's just going to be hard to beat him. The guy's got momentum right now. Martinsville, I think they just threw away, right? Mechanical issues for both him and Hamlin, whatever. But he's just got the momentum right now. That team's got the speed. They got the qualifying speed. I really am confident, more confident than ever, that Chase Briscoe is going to go out and shock the world in becoming NASCAR Cup Series champion this Sunday. I think any 4 of these storylines would be great, right? Kyle Larson kind of coming back from a midseason slump to win the title, get his second championship. William Byron, I think, is the best there, right? Wins the Daytona 500, stays consistent all year long, kind of has a few sleds, right? But wins that championship at the end of the year. We know what Denny Hamlin's storyline would be, first career Cup title for him. I mean, that just, the story writes itself there. But Chase Briscoe, to go out in your first year with Joe Gibbs Racing, and there's a lot of haters. There's a lot of critics. Joe Gibbs Racing, in my opinion, have picked some great drivers. There were people that hated Christopher Bell getting put in that 20 over Eric Jones. I thought that was BS. Christopher Bell was a dog. Christopher Bell was absolutely lighting the world on fire in the lower series. And I think just because Eric Jones was doing all right, that was a mistake to put him in the 20, not whatsoever. And a lot of people thought it was a mistake to put Chase Briscoe in the 19. Oh, why don't you go get Kyle Busch? Why don't you go get this person? No, Chase Briscoe is, again, a dog. He was great in the lower series, was almost a champion in Xfinity, racked up a bunch of wins, and a dying Stewart-Haas organization, was the only man to pretty much keep that team afloat, right? Get the win last year in walk-off fashion at Darlington. So Chase Briscoe was absolutely the right choice for this 19 car, and he's showing why he has that pure speed and why he may potentially win the championship. So keeping it on championship talk, again, talking about the playoff system, something we've talked about in this show a lot, is that NASCAR is down to 3 formats, allegedly, to deciding what they are going to do next year as far as a championship format and crowning a champion. So you have the 3-3-4 format, which would be this playoff start. You got 3 races, elimination, 3 races, elimination. But if instead of 3 races, elimination again, we have 4 races that then will be that championship round with the final 4 or finals, whatever they're going to do. I think that's stupid. Scrap it, throw it away. Next 2 options. They're thinking about full 36 race championship, full season points. I highly doubt that. I think it's in the considerations. They might be polling people, but I don't think that's going to happen. And to be quite frank, I don't want to see it happen over the next option that we'll talk about in a second that I've already talked about on the show. You guys know where I'm going with this, but I think, it's a big jump to go from this manufactured garbage, right, to then full 36. That's a big jump, right? And while it might be great, right, it might be cool, I think NASCAR, they still want that something. And I think fans deep down inside, majority of the people want at least a little something at the end of the year. So maybe down the road, if we meet in the middle first and then go to 36. We'll see how it goes. But my dream and what I've been saying for the last few months, and you know what? They didn't start talking about it until we started talking about it. So, hey, if we started something, probably not. But if we did, props to us. But the 10 race chase. And I think that's exactly what we need to bring back. I think it's perfect because it still adds a sports postseason feel, right? But a NASCAR version, a version that's not, giving a sample size of 3 races of completely different tracks. Like the chase would absolutely bang right now with the diverse tracks that we have. The parity in the races, all the different winners we have week to week. A 10 race stretch would be absolutely fire for drivers, right? Whether we have 12, put 16 in there. I don't care. The competitiveness is already so much off the charts that I really wouldn't care. Put 16 in there. Let's do it. My meet in the middle kind of thing, right? Because I just didn't see them getting rid of winning in. So I wanted it to be 12, top 12 on points. The bottom 4 is filled by the wild card drivers, right? Drivers that have won a race, right? That weren't top 12. So it's the wild card way of getting in, right? You didn't win the division, but you had enough, wins to get in, whatever. That was my kind of meet in the middle scenario. But, if they don't do it, I don't mind that either. If we just go straight up, no winning in anymore. We're doing top 12, top 16, go to the chase. I'm all for it. I think it's perfect. It's the perfect postseason feel. Like, all right, the chase has started now, 10 races, right? It's not just 3. It's not one Final Four race. This isn't stick and ball sports, I saw what Kevin Harvick was saying on the Happy Hour podcast and what Mamba Smith was saying back to him, talking all that NASCAR hoopla, saying, oh, well, the driver didn't perform or the lights were brightest. Like the BS. Ridiculous. I mean, you can only vouch for this crap for so long, before you just realize that you're wrong. You're wrong. So the comparisons to baseball and basketball and football need to end because basketball, baseball, football, guess what? It's one-on-one. Teams are one-on-one. NASCAR is completely different. The reason why we don't compare it to stick and ball sports, because it's not. Nobody ever started comparing us to stick and ball sports till we started talking about the playoffs, right? So there's literally no similarity. So there's no reason to compare them as far as playoffs. And hopefully we will bring the chase back. NASCAR wake up. Look, man, look, they're reading. I think they're starting to read. The people up there in the tower. We got horsepower coming back next year. Not a lot, but a little. It's progress. We'll take it. Starting to listen to the fans with some things. And hey, if we bring the chase back, let's freaking go. But we just know these playoff system needs to go. And hopefully it will. A few shout outs before we kind of wrap up the night here. It's towards the end of the season. A lot of things are going on this week for not only myself, but obviously the drivers getting ready for their final week of the season. So looking forward to kind of what comes in the off season, but definitely big shout out to Taylor Gray. I've known him for a while. He's been a Motor Stardom supporter for a good bit. So big shout out to Taylor Gray for getting his first career win. Long time coming. We know he should have won Martinsville earlier this year, but is able to stay in safe range this year and get his first career win. So big congratulations to Taylor Gray. Obviously, big congratulations to Corey Heim as well. Getting that now record setting, right? Already truck series victories in a season. That's awesome for him. And then, might as well just keep rolling. Shout out to William Byron for winning that Cup Series race on Sunday. Huge performance for him, huge performance for that team. And now he goes into Phoenix as certainly one of the favorites, as he's been all year long, to win that championship. Definitely shout out to all 4 drivers that were eliminated on Sunday, right? You could make a Final Four of these 4 drivers right here. I think it was the same thing last year, but Christopher Bell, amazing season. Thought he was going to be in the Final Four. Ryan Blaney, amazing season as well. Thought he was going to be in the Final Four. Chase Elliott, one of the most underrated seasons. And it's a shame that I think he got eliminated this round. I was really hoping he would make it to the final round because that team, with all the hate that they've gotten for Alan Gustafson and him saying the 9 teams watch, they were damn top 3 points all year long. What else do you want? Wins, I guess. BS wins. All right, go, stay out, overtime, restart, and wreck somebody, win the race. Sure, and that'll make everybody feel better about your season. But the 9 car had a great year. So I was hoping they could kind of point their way into the next round. Unfortunately, didn't happen. And then Joey Logano just being the gritty guy that he is, right? Moving through the rounds. Unfortunately, they did not have the race they needed at Martinsville to advance. And also shout out to Rajah Caruth. Absolutely gutting results to his race at Martinsville. Went into that race above the cut with a chance to go to the championship for as long as they kept it clean. Unfortunately, contact with Caden Honeycutt, cuts a tire, slams the wall. So I know he's absolutely gutted. I'm absolutely gutted for him. Wish he was fighting for a championship this weekend, but unfortunately is not. But to all the drivers fighting for a title this weekend, everybody going to Phoenix, best of luck. It's going to be a great weekend. Starting on Thursday, on-track action begins. At 7 o'clock, I believe, a truck practice, and then converts over to Friday. Truck race at night, Xfinity Series truck race at night, and then we crown a Cup Series champion on Sunday. It's crazy that we are ending the year out here. Feels like we just started. Feels like we just started the year. Feels like I was just down in Daytona for February. Feels like we just started the Motor Stardom show, right? And now we're getting towards the end of the year. I've had a lot of great guests on, including Corey Day. Don't know what we're going to do next week, but hopefully something celebratory, as far as recapping the season. Recapping all the great times we've had. So as always, thank you guys for tuning into the show. Thank you guys for always supporting Motor Stardom on Instagram, whether it's at Motor Stardom, motorstardom.com, trying to post more on TikTok at Motor Stardom. We're supporting here on YouTube, watching the show live, as well as when we clip farm the show onto social media, which we sure will tonight with Corey Day. So great conversation with him. Thank you for him and Hendrick Motorsports for orchestrating that, getting him on the show. It was great to talk to him. Kind of view his insight as a guy that's on the come up. That guy's going to be in the Cup Series soon enough. How soon we'll certainly be telling, and we'll be seeing him in the Xfinity Series next year. I sure hope so. I think he's proven himself enough this year to where he gets that seat. I think he's going to do a good job. So thank you guys as always for tuning in. It was another great Tuesday night here, October 28th. And next week we will be back for some more talking about what happened in Phoenix. Corey Heim, Justin Allgaier, and like I said, let's go with Chase Briscoe. Let's do the wild card there, and we'll also recap Mason Maggio's final weekend of the season. He's racing this weekend, the Truck Series. He's driving the 22 at Phoenix for Rion Brothers Racing. I think it's the 22. They switch around their numbers all the damn time, but he's in something for Rion Brothers Racing, and you'll be able to watch him Friday night on FS1. You can watch Corey Day Saturday night on the CW. Let's see who the newest Cup champion is on Sunday. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week.